Hey, Shalom, Israel, when the stuff was by giving no praise to Yahweh, Shem, Shaba, Shem, Kakwadash, the belongs to the apostles of GMS and honesty brothers doing the work in truth, while sincerity. I just want to do a quick one here on, because thought came into my head, a couple of days ago, basically on the fact that you get army dads, guys that will go off and, fight for the, US military or whatever, British military or whatever. They're not seen as deadbeats, right? But they don't, they're not, the family man, right? They ain't, they ain't around like that. Yet they don't get given the names that, brothers will get given, right? Despite the fact that, brothers, we're spiritually soldiers, spiritual soldiers, we're in the greatest battle of them all, right? As we'll go into as I get these scriptures. So this is 2 Timothy 2:4 says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, right? And some of those affairs are your family, right? It sounds harsh, but that's what it is. You ain't gonna be father of the year in this thing, right? You ain't gonna be at every sports event. You ain't gonna be at every play, right? You may not be there for, son's first steps. May not be there for this, may not be there for that, for this, this work's sake. When that's part of the sacrifices that we make. And that's, saying I'm in this position, but, brothers are in those positions. And you always notice that, their family, they don't see the sacrifice, right? They're selfish, right? You can't let that, get over you, right? Because at the end of the day, let me get this real quick. It says Matthew 19:28, right? It says, and 29, I'll just jump straight to the point. It says, and everyone that hath forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold, right? And shall inherit everlasting life. So if you give up, if you have to give up those things on this side, then the Lord will, there's a reward, right, in the kingdom, right? And that's not to say, I'm not saying go and be over righteous and, tell your woman to F off, not saying, nah, you gotta, be spiritual, right? If that's, the case of what needs to happen in your life, then the Lord will make it happen, right? The Lord has a habit of, making decisions for you, because ultimately we have no free will. Right, so what does Scripture say in Corinthians? If thou hast a wife, seek not to be loosed. Right, that's saying that as but I remember Apostle Ryan Blob, he did a video recently, basically talking about how sometimes brothers go too far. Might have a good woman or whatever, right, and then we'll tell them to dip, for really for no just cause, right? Just because they feel like they need to be, catching hell like another bro, but every bro's hell is different, right? But basically the point there is, you may end up losing your wife or your sons or your children or whatever, right? For this truth's sake, but that's just what happens. Just like, you get real army men, they'll be out at war having the, doing the battle, right? Carnal army men, I won't say real army men, carnal army men are going out, to the battle, right, whatever, come back from Afghanistan or Iraq, right, and then they find out that, their woman's moved on, divorce papers, this, that, and the other, right? So just like that, those guys that go out, because ultimately this is, a tall order, and ultimately the Lord, doesn't want everyone to be saved, right? He might be with a woman, right, and the Lord might not want to save that woman, might want to have that woman destroyed, right? And that's just the real of it, right? So it says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier, right? And that's a spiritual soldier, right? It says, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty. What do you call it? In fact, let me just get that. That's 2 Corinthians 10:4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, right? So they're not of the flesh, right? They're not of the flesh, right? It says, but are mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds, right? So, the weapons of our warfare are spiritual, right? We have these scriptures, and we get this in Hebrews 4:12, right? It says, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, right? So these scriptures are sharp, right? They're better than any two-edged sword, right? It says, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart, right? So you can tell a man using these scriptures, right? And you can also spiritually cut a man using these scriptures, right? But that is what do you call it? That is the the power of the scriptures, right? It says it says, and if a man strive for masteries, yet is he not crowned, except he strive lawfully. So let me just stop this phone from ringing. So it says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, right? It says a spiritual battle. This is Matthew 10, 2 Timothy 2 and 4 says, no, I just read that. Matthew 10:37 says, he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me, right? Because you gotta, seek the Lord. You gotta, put this truth first, right? Let me get this. So, 33. It says Sirach 39 and 1 says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof. Occupied, right, being the key word, right? You got to be occupied, in the meditation of these scriptures. So that's the first thing that's on your mind. That's your first priority, right? Which means, your family ends up taking a second place, right? But like I said, you using the comparison with, how they talk, so, boastfully about, army dads, our army dads, go out there fighting for the country, whatever, what have you. Yet they're not looked at deadbeats despite physically not being there for months on end, right? Because they're quote unquote fighting for their country, right? But, through the spirit, the men out there on the highways and byways, we're fighting, for the nation, right? But, people can't see that, right? Scriptures talk about in the last days, there shall be scoffers, right? This is Ephesians 6 and 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, which is these scriptures, right? So that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? Further proving that, we're in a spiritual battle, right? Well, we're spiritual warriors, right? Because we're fighting against spirit. You've got, demons attacking you all the damn time, right? All of that stuff. There's things you got to deal with, so it's a spiritual battle. But, when a man has to, puts the Lord, fight for the Lord first, people say, speak ill of him, right? But Yahushua said that this would happen, right? It says, it goes on to say verse 12 says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? Further proving the fact that this is a battle, right? And what we're fighting is, things that can't be seen, and that's ultimately one of the reasons why, people can't see the sacrifice, because they can't see the battle. Right, you might be able to try and explain certain things to them, right, but they can't see the battle, because they're carnal, right? Scriptures talk about, these things are spiritually discerned, right? In Corinthians, right? I'll end on this last one's Romans 12 and 2 says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High, right? And your family's part of this world, right? There are certain things they'll want you to do, right, that are, of this world, but the truth comes first, right? And I'm not saying make life difficult for yourself. No, I'm not saying that at all. This whole video has just been on the hypocrisy of the world, which there's nothing to be amazed of there. The hypocrisy of the world, and that the world, what do you call it? Will looks bad at brothers, who have made that sacrifice, right? Which that's not every man's lot. Some man might try and make that sacrifice, might force the spirit and end up falling out. Right, you gotta know yourself, right? And that that's the whole topic in itself, right? You can't try to be living life like another man. You gotta go through your own hurdles, right? You gotta go through your own hurdles. You gotta use your strengths, right? This what you call it? Even this scripture I'm in here is verse 4, Romans 12, right? It says, "For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office," right? So if your office is to be the head of the camp, then you're gonna go through things differently. And you ain't, if you're a younger man, you ain't supposed to be trying to lust for that, to go through the same things that man has gone through, because that man, he's the head of the camp. He had to go through certain things, right? So Lord's will, that was edifying. Until the next time, Shalom.